people that use fiat currency as a store of value are poor.
All right, so let's move to the next section, though. You know who's going to be the next trillionaire?
Trillionaire.
Trillionaire. You know what is cool? It's $1 trillion.
How many commas is that? That's not the 3 comma club. That's the 4
No,
comma
it's like
club.
4 comma club, man. Our buddy Michael Saylor, the future trillionaire.
Yeah. Michael Saylor.
I was looking for the pod. He's a 59-year-old, so he's almost 60. His net worth is about a little bit shy of 5 billions.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I do really want to recognize this guy. He has been a spokesperson for pro Bitcoin, and ups and downs, man. And he has been standing up in his own feet, right? Which is not easy. I mean, sometimes I read the haters that we have for our channel, and man, it's hard, right? It's hard to kind of not get it. But this guy, imagine how many people trying to poke in his ideas and all of that. So I think that he deserves some love and some shout outs too, because he's a public persona and he's always out there, right?
Yeah. So Michael Saylor, and he admits, like, when he first heard about Bitcoin, and you can see his early tweets, he was like, nah, man, why? This is tulips all over again, right? Or beanie babies. But he came around. So he's known for his first principles approach, right? And he started doing kind of the analysis that said, if my company, MicroStrategy, hopes to make it through maybe the upcoming recessions or whatever, all the inflation that's going on, I can't hold my extra cash and money. But he started looking at, okay, what are some assets that he can buy to maybe keep more of his money, basically, and not lose it through inflation. And he came up with, well, maybe Bitcoin really is the answer. He found out that Bitcoin is the hardest fucking money ever invented in the world. So he's like, that's where I'm going. And so, ever since then, he's been using his company MicroStrategy to accumulate as much Bitcoin as he can, because it's the biggest hedge against inflation. And if he ever needs the money, they can always take fiat out, but Bitcoin is going to be able to hold its value even more than like real estate, gold, or other commodities.
He's very public. He's always, people are interviewing him. Very articulated, very sharp. This guy is, I believe, from MIT. He's studying MIT as well, right? So he was the CEO. Right now, he's not the CEO, but he still owns a good amount of shares in MicroStrategy. But the guy is a poet. I mean, he has some quotes like...
He's pretty good on it, yeah.
He has flows. This one. It's funny. This one is funny. Satoshi started a fire in cyberspace. While the fearful run from it, the fools are dancing around it. And the faithful feed the flame in a dream of a world bathed by the glove on cyberlight.
He's a visionary, but he also has a nice imagination there. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how he puts it very eloquently. And he has to, right? Because being this public persona, right? He's always on being interviewed and on these talk shows, and he just wants to make sure that this message gets across to all different types of people. He always said Bitcoin is digital gold, and that's kind of the easiest way to grasp for people that understand what gold is to the current economy, what Bitcoin then is compared to gold, right? Bitcoin is digital gold. And that's a good way for people to kind of make that relation, right? It's growing harder. And when we say it's harder, it means you can't inflate it, right? There's you can't make more of it. So it's a hard asset. It's smarter, faster, stronger, and it's just due to the relentless progression of technology. So it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, and it's like he also makes a resemble of if you have an apartment in Manhattan, right? Are you gonna try to sell it? No, you keep it, right? Because it's a piece of property that you always want to have, right? So, and he was one of the ones that made me start thinking on refinancing. Because if you think about it, if you have that apartment in Manhattan, yes, you can sell it, you can rent it, but the best opportunity there is to refinance it so that way you can get some money and then you can start growing and you still keep the asset.
Yep.
So a lot of these first principles that he thinks and he teaches very, very publicly. Um, it's just interesting to me that a lot of people they don't see or hear these things, right? Because he puts a lot of knowledge out there from the billionaire status.
Yeah. Is I think not only is he kind of one of the great technical minds, right, of today's time, but also quite a philosopher, I think. He really thinks really deeply about this and what it really means. He recently did an interview that actually one of our fellow YouTubers and Bitcoin maxis, it seems, put out a song where he says he took this clip that says, people that use fiat currency as a store of value are poor.
And the funny part is that they made a remix with
So
all
this
of
is a
that.
remix. Yeah, it's too funny. But the things that he says, some of the things that he says, obviously, it's meant to be attention grabbing, right?
Mm.
So that's just one way. It's like, how can someone so well known, respected, make such kind of a blunt sentence and say it, right? Like, people that use fiat currency as a store of value are poor. But it's meant to provoke some thought from you, like, okay, what does he really mean? How does Bitcoin solve this problem? And he wants you to go do your research and go down the rabbit hole, you know?
Um, and I think that is, as you said, they're provoking statements, but there is a lot of truth to them. Check Venezuela or Argentina, right? Like their currencies, they lost 90% of their value. Just imagine that. Imagine like literally you have your dollars, right? Your fiat money, and suddenly the value is like 90% lost compared to, in this case, Bitcoin that is almost being kind of doubling every year, right? But ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
But the whole cycle it just continues to keep growing. That's
Well,
the
and I
reason
will.
why. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I will mention, you mentioned 90% loss. I think the US dollar has lost 90% since its inception, or at least over the last 100 years or so. So, I mean, US dollar is already there too. Remember, you could buy Coca-Cola, your favorite, for a nickel. How much does it cost now? You know?
Yeah, and people don't see that inflation because it has been 2-3% for many many years, very very stable. But now people start seeing it when you go to the grocery store, right? It's like it's not the same, right? With the Mexican price index,
The MPI.
we coin it here the term. Uh, and yeah, I think that is it's that's where you can start thinking. And again, Michael Saylor has been advocate of people get point 0.2 two bitcoins, right, if you can, right, and you will be kind of okay. And there's a whole formula why, right, and we have a video about that where you can search a bunch of videos that's kind of the amount that they are telling people to have. So but yeah, once again, take a look at his content, watch some of his interviews. Sometimes he is entertaining too.
Yeah, Michael Saylor is always a good listen. I know there's plenty of YouTube videos out there of Michael Saylor just talking for hours that people put together. It's too funny. Oh gosh. Well, you know what? I think that's all we've got for today. I want you guys to like, subscribe, and comment. We'd love to hear from y'all. If you like the content, share with your friends. Make sure we get known and we start to get a little bit bigger. So we want to make sure that you guys have a good time. Mondo, anything else?
No, peace out.
Peace out. See y'all
Peace.
next time. Dale.